Welcome to Lose 5 Pounds a Month, version 2. It's been over a year since version 1 came out, and since then I've seen that the vast majority of students who take this course succeed in losing weight and keeping it off. But having said that, some people don't succeed. There are some people who are unable to make it, and I've spoken with a lot of them to figure out what went wrong for them. And what I've seen is that there are 8 pitfalls that people tend to run into in this course. So in this video, I'm going to run you through all 8 of those and explain how to deal with them. The first pitfall, and the most common, is simply not making this a priority. It's not enough to buy the course and watch the videos and read the PDFs, and it's not enough to work out or follow the diet occasionally. You need to be able to do this consistently, which means you need to make the time and space in your life for it. So you need to be committed to following the course even when you get busy with work or social events, even when you're tired or you have other things that you're working on. You need to be able to set aside about 4 or 5 hours a week between cooking healthy food, eating it, and working out. The second pitfall is expecting totally smooth progress, and in particular weighing yourself too often, and then losing motivation when your progress isn't totally smooth and steady. Look, if you lose 5 pounds a month, that doesn't mean you're going to lose 1/10 of a pound or 2/10 of a pound each and every day. Progress is nowhere near that smooth, particularly when you take into account water weight fluctuations. Your weight can be going up or down a few pounds every day. It can stall for a week. So your weight should be your long-term focus, but your short-term focus needs to be on your behavior and on following the program. So successful people, they focus not on, has my weight gone down today, but did I eat right and follow the workouts? The third pitfall that I see people running into is not tracking what they do. You need to be logging your meals and you need to be recording your workouts, because that's how you keep the focus on your behavior and on following the program. And that's how you stay motivated by the program itself rather than scale weight. The fourth pitfall I see, building on that, is excessive focus on your own body, obsessing over things like my fat rolls, my stomach hang out, I have wrinkles. Remember, you are not your body. Now, I know that tends to be a cliche that some people tend to spout off, but it's true. It's better to think of yourself as being your behavior rather than your body. You are your habits, you are your behavior, you are what you do, not your body. So keep the focus on what you do, and in particular, following the program. The fifth pitfall that I see, very common, very well known, is the Monday mentality, where you continually fall off the wagon and then give yourself a do-over. And it's called the Monday mentality because this particularly happens on weekends, where people will do very well during the week. Then on the weekends, they won't really make time to work out. They'll eat too much, they'll drink beer, and they'll say, well, it's the weekend, I'll get back into it on Monday. And this leads to a lot of one step forward, one step back, because it's really not enough to be following the program 4 or 5 days a week. Because what tends to happen here is, first off, it doesn't build any kind of psychological discipline. You never get into the mentality of being successful. And second, your caloric surplus on the weekend can easily be big enough to wipe out any progress you made during the week. You could be at a 500 calorie deficit on weekdays, but 1 or 2,000 calories a day surplus on the weekend, and then you never go anywhere. So you need to be continually staying on the program. If you fall off the wagon, you get back on immediately. You don't put it off a day or two, because remember, everything counts. Even if you give yourself a do-over starting Monday, the stuff you did on the weekend still counts. And also building off of that, the sixth pitfall that I see people falling into is what's known as, in psychological circles, it's called self-licensing. I usually call it balance sheet thinking. And this is where you balance out your good and bad behavior. So, for instance, if you do something right, you tell yourself, oh, that gave me the right to do something wrong. Or if you do something bad, like eating junk food, you just say, well, I can make up for it by working out. That actually works out in the second case when you're going in that direction. I did something bad, now I need to do something good. But when you do something good, like work out or eat healthy, and then think, well, okay, now I've earned the right to eat a cupcake, this leads to running in place. You never make any progress. This is why you see a lot of overweight people eating a double cheeseburger and drinking a Diet Coke, because they think that the two things, the semi-healthy Diet Coke and the unhealthy burger, balance out and somehow make it okay. And the end result of this tends to be that wherever you're at now, you stay there. You just run in place because your deeds are just constantly canceling each other out. So you need to not make everything balance out. It needs to be unbalanced in favor of you losing fat. That's how you change. The seventh pitfall that people fall into, very common, hardly ever gets talked about, is food pushers, or the social trap. This is where your social environment sabotages you or pushes you to not follow the program, whether that's because friends badger you into skipping workouts to hang out with them, or they convince you to eat junk food because it's a social event and you have to eat like everyone else. You need to be following the system, even if it's not what the people around you are doing, and even if they're telling you not to. So there are three ways to deal with food pushers. And the order in which you should try them first is avoid them, meaning either don't be around them or just don't let them know that you're trying to lose fat. So don't talk about this on Facebook if food pushers are going to react to that and give you crap about it. Don't tell anyone about it who you know will try to talk you out of doing this. Just don't let them hear about it. Don't eat with people who will push you to eat junk food. That's your first line of defense, is avoid. The second is ignore them to the extent that you can, particularly online. If you can ignore them, great, do it. In person, try and just deflect their talk, change the subject, get off it, whatever. And then if that doesn't work, your third line of defense is confront them and just tell them flat out you're committed to doing this, and you don't want to hear about their objections. You're committed, and that's that. And at the end of the day, some people, not most of you, but some people I've seen do have people in their lives who are very committed to sabotaging their weight loss. And, some of you may need to cut people out of your lives. That is your absolute last resort, but some people need to do it. And then the eighth and final big pitfall that I see people falling into is not trusting the system. You have committed to this course. You need to be committed to following it for at least 3 months. And what I mean by trusting the system is doing it as much as possible as it is written, and not kind of picking and choosing, all right, I'm going to do this part from Lose 5 Pounds a Month. I'm going to do this thing from a different course, and this other thing that's not from any course, but that I'm just making up myself. Follow this program as best you can for a few months and actually stick to it. Now, there will be points when you need to modify it somewhat, either because your gym doesn't have the equipment for an exercise that I've told you to do, or you're traveling, or maybe you're trying to count calories, but you're somewhere that you absolutely can't get an exact calorie count on something, so you have to estimate. That's fine, but follow the system absolutely as best as you can. And finally, if you are ever in doubt about what to do, any amount of doubt, email me. One final thing I have noticed is people who email me questions almost always succeed. People who fail almost never ask me for advice while they're failing. They realize it's not working, they try to fix it on their own, it doesn't work, and then they give up, and at no point do they shoot me an email. So, last piece of advice, ask me for help anytime you need it. That is absolutely a part of this course. I am here to help you. And that's it for this video. Those are the 8 pitfalls. Remember to re-watch this occasionally, particularly anytime you feel like you might be encountering difficulty.